And welcome back to the Sunset Safari, and a very good afternoon, and we do apologize for the minor moment of the gremlins attacking. At first, Byron lost his signal, and as you may or may not have noticed, I'm not sure how observant some of you are feeling, last time you saw me I was walking. I'm no longer walking, I'm driving in a vehicle, and Brent has returned to camp, but I am in Rusty, which is fantastic news. Herbie and Zander are doing a long march home, and VM and myself are now in Rusty, which is great. It means I get to experience the new no door policy. I keep reaching to shut it, but it's so much fun. I haven't driven without a door in ages. Oh, it really is quite a pleasure. We took the door off, of course, for those of you who are perhaps have missed out on a few live safaris. We took the door off because it's just easier for Brent to be able to turn around and talk to you, particularly over his right shoulder, because he is so tall. I'm looking to see if any of these have babies. Because he is so tall, it's just easier for him to turn without the door. And just bear with me 1 second, please. I'm absolutely parched and I haven't quite had a moment to have a drink, so just bear with me 1 moment. It was quite a warm afternoon for a rapid stroll through the vegetation. Any babies? I don't see any babies. In fact, I'm not sure I see any females. Oh, that's a female. That was a female. I thought she looked a bit round for a male. So we've had the first woodlands, but we have not yet had the first impala baby, and that's what we're going to be searching for the rest of the afternoon, I think. I haven't quite figured out what my plan is just yet, since I have only just landed in the vehicle. We'll figure it out as we go along. Can I have some of this water, Veer?
Yeah.
Thank you. That one is...
Yes, that was my fresh water.
Is that your fresh water?
You can grab that.
Oh, thank you. Much appreciated. Sorry, everybody. I really just need a quick drink and then I will be up and running. Phew. Thanks, VM. Much appreciated. Alright. That's better. Now we can hit the road. I wish you could have seen me when I first got into the vehicle. I already feel far too low. Usually I sit on about 2.5 odd blankets piled up so that I can see. And I sit with the seat... Actually, I must just do that as well quickly. I sit with the seat right forward so that I don't end up struggling to reach the clutch. But when I got in now, looking through my monitor, that was about as much of my head as you could see. With me sitting in Brent's normal seat. So you get an idea as to just why he needed to have the door removed. Okay, while I trundle on and switch from walk mode to drive mode, let's go back to Byron, who's managed to find some good signal.
Shame, we've been struggling with some...
Deary me, well, it seems as though Byron has lost signal, in which case you are still with me. That's alright, we'll continue on and we'll stop and see whether or not this hornbill has perhaps got a nest somewhere here. Excuse me, have you got a nest? Or are you simply surveying the area? A yellow-billed hornbill. Enjoying a brief break and a brief. Sorry, still trying to marshal my thoughts. A brief rest and moment to sunbathe. I love hornbill. There is something innately comical about them, and I don't think I'm the only person that feels that way. There's just something highly entertaining about them, and they have an almost slightly manic expression in their eyes whenever you get to see them up close. I actually have a suspicion, well, I was going to say they're quite bright birds, but actually maybe not, because they do sit for hours on end and peck at windows and mirrors on cars, trying to attack what they think is a rival hornbill, but is in fact just their reflection. This is a male, just judging by the broadness of his bill, the sort of the casque. It's not quite a casque on the yellow-billed hornbill, but that prominent ridge that runs along the top of the bill. It's slightly more pronounced in the male hornbills than the females. I can hear a black-bellied bustard. Where do I hear the black-bellied bustard? We'll continue our search on the vehicle. Herbert just did the best black-bellied bustard impression. It was better than Brian's, and Brian's is good. Herbert's was spot on. Now, Claire, you wanted to know on the subject of birds whether or not I have ever seen a shoebill. And I would love to show everybody what a shoebill looks like, but unfortunately I'm in Brent's vehicle and he hasn't got a bird book with him, I don't think. He does have a rather tattered butterfly book. Claire, I have never seen a shoebill, and I'm dying to see a shoebill. I have seen them on documentaries, and I have seen them on people's pictures, which sounds ridiculous, but I've never in real life seen a shoebill, and it's one of my dream birds to check off my list. Now, a shoebill is a sort of almost stork-like bird, just in terms of its height and the way that it stands, and it wades through water, and it's got this massive, hence the name, this massive bill, enormously heavy looking thing. And I'm sure some of you have seen them on documentaries. I do wish I could show you a picture, but unfortunately I can't. But they are truly fascinating creatures. I did once in the height of my exam stress, and it was around the time... Which documentary was it? It was not the. It was one of the BBC nature documentaries, and I think it was Africa. And they did a whole sequence on a shoebill, and I was watching that to de-stress. And it was my third year at university, so it was my final year. So the stress levels were relatively high, and I had a stress-induced dream of a shoebill surrounded by psychedelic sort of 80s swirls in neon colors, and it was dispensing the kind of life advice that you would find on a Hallmark card. And that, I think, to date has been one of my strangest ever dreams. And I think it gave some insight into the madness that was happening in my head at the time. It was totally bizarre. And they've got this way of turning their heads and sort of looking at you from the side, like all birds do, I suppose, but it's kind of sinister with a shoebill. So the closest I have come to seeing a shoebill was a psychedelic version in a stress-induced dream during my exam period. Sorry, I was trying to stop for the dwarf mongoose, but they've all run away. They've all vanished. But one day I shall see a shoebill. I'm dreaming of that day. To Easy Peasy, I hope you are having a marvelous sunset safari. Easy Peasy, you want to know, apart from vultures, are there any other meat-eating birds in the Greater Kruger National Park area? Easy Peasy, yes, lots and lots and lots of them. So we've got many different species of eagle, some of which, just like the vultures, will scavenge off carcasses. So things like tawny eagles and a short-tailed snake eagle, which is known as a batelier, they will scavenge off carcasses. In fact, almost all eagles will, if given the opportunity. So we've got eagles, we've got a variety of hawks and goshawks, and sorry, I'm trying to sneak up on these beautiful kudu. Let's just stop for a second. So in short, easy peasy, yes, and I will give you a slightly longer answer after we've just touched upon these beautiful male kudu. We saw some females earlier on in the walk, didn't see any males with them, but now we've got these beautiful gentlemen with their long spiraling horns. Let's see if we can't get a slightly better view, if they'll let us. The males, oh, I was hoping we'd, come on, oh, we were just on a downhill, come on, here we go. Or not. That was a little bit of a letdown. Come on, Rusty, trying to sneak forward without turning on our engine. Don't go, mister. Okay, I think this is actually going to be Anyway, if we go any further, he's going to run away. So we'll settle for this view for now. And just watch him as he goes about his afternoon lunch. Ah, there he goes. Now we can go forward and get a slightly better view. Easy peasy, don't despair, I am coming back to your question. But there's a distraction here in the form of one of the most exquisitely dignified antelope that we get. And off they march. Stopping to have a jolly good sniff at a burnt... Oh, hi! Just goes to show, whenever you stop and look at kudu, the more kudu you will find. There's usually several of them hidden away. There's a young male, and there's two more. Have you found some more? Oh, look at that! I don't even know where Viam's looking at this point. Hidden in the veg... Oh, there we go, I do see one. So there's actually quite a few kudu that we've stumbled upon. This is a relatively young male. Still hasn't quite reached his fully grown point. His horns haven't... They've just managed the second twirl. So he's just got to 2. A fully grown or sort of mature adult kudu bull will have at least 2.5 twirls to the horns. Isn't that crazy to think that that is bone? Solid bone. Doesn't it amaze you that it's able to grow in those fantastic shapes? And each and every single kudu does it. It's not like it's some kind of deformity. It's just the way their bone grows. And you have to wonder at the biology and the genetics that have laid down that sort of a pattern. And there we go. Definitely one of the most stunning antelope. They are, however, also quite shy, and most of them are hidden behind some relatively dense vegetation. Oh, it seems as though, fingers crossed, Byron has once again managed to find some signal. Let's head across and see where he is.
We do seem to have signal again, everyone. It's dropping on us a lot though, but we're at Buffelshoek Dam at the moment, and we've got these beautiful black Smith Lapwings walking about. That little one over there. Really, really beautiful birds. Now, I'd want to try and get back to that question that we had earlier. And James was asking, I think it was James asking about the leopards and what actually happened, an update on that situation. So, as I was explaining, I've been fortunate. I've seen a lot of leopard behavior and leopard activity in the past. All that I can think, or the theory that I think, maybe this male leopard moving into a territory he's not familiar with, Tingana, maybe moving a little bit further north out of his territory, a little bit nervous, a little bit agitated, and possibly a bit more aggressive, because there are other male leopards that move around through that territory. That may have caused him to be a little bit more aggressive than usual. I have seen male leopards attacking female leopards before, possibly for food, but if not, the other reason is maybe he thought that this female is pregnant and has a cub that doesn't belong to him. That could also have sparked something, a bit of aggression. These animals, it depends. I mean, who knows the exact reason? I'm not sure, but I think maybe a combination of all of those factors may have made him a little bit aggressive. I've seen a male leopard run up into a tree before and try and chase out a young cub, or get to a young cub that wasn't his, and the female ran up to try and help the youngster, and that male then turned and attacked the female and killed the female. So it can happen, and maybe she was trying to protect something. Maybe, who knows, but maybe she wasn't as submissive as she should have been. So that's perhaps what caused that male to attack the female. He did kill her. She's definitely dead. As you heard this morning, he was around the carcass. The male leopard was still around the carcass. So it's sad, but again, you know, it's not always an easy thing to see or hear about. but nature's way of finding a balance or keeping a balance. And we may not understand it, but that is nature's way, and it's not always easy. And that's the thing about Safari Live. It's raw, it's uncut, and that's what we see and what we hear and what we view is completely natural. These animals are in their natural environment, and we don't have all the answers. It's very difficult at times, but it's interesting behavior. We can give you our theories, we can try and work things out, but who knows? It's and that's why I love what I do, is because there's never a guarantee. Some beautiful swallows flying around. I wonder if we can get them, everyone. Swallows are always very difficult to film. These are red-breasted swallows that are flying about at the moment. Sure. Well done, Jean-Ray. It's so difficult to see. There's another. And there's a bird of prey above us, Jean-Ray. Maybe we can try get that. It might be a bit easier. Just over there, it's soaring. There we go. Now that is the African harrier hawk, everyone. Oh, I wonder, it would be wonderful it came down to one of these trees and maybe, oh, it just dropped through there. Yeah. So that's the African harrier hawk, used to be known as the gymnogene. And we did see one earlier. Unfortunately, we couldn't show you it when we lost our signal. And one was being mobbed by a number of birds. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't get mobbed soon too. Yeah, a lot of birds flying in there now. So could possibly mob it and chase it away. And the reason they mob it is because it does raid nests and look for chicks. So it is a bird of prey that those birds will not be happy about. And they'll try and chase it away. So it seems like our signal's been pretty stable here, which is good. Maybe we should just not move. We should just stay here and see what comes down to the water. Now, what have we got over there? A double banded plover. That's a little double banded plover, or three banded plover. Little three-banded plover bobbing around looking for some food. Little insects in the water, in the mud. And it's a beautiful, I love seeing these little double-banded plovers. Or three-banded, why do I keep saying double-banded? The three-banded plover, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Beautiful, beautiful little plover. And they do occur through most parts of South Africa. It's nice to see them bobbing around. There was a wood sandpiper around here too. I'm trying to look for it. But some interesting birds around here. It's a beautiful sun or light at the moment over the dam. Isn't that wonderful? You can see how green and lush the bush is looking at the moment. And it's a bright green. It's this deep, bright green. Which is just incredible. It's actually hard to explain, and I don't think you really get the full effect on camera. But it is a wonderful, wonderful color. Lovely time of year. A question from Cupcake Sugar Pie. I do like a Twitter handle, it's quite funny. Let me show you a picture of the three-banded plover, just over there. Oh, sorry. And you can see the two clear bands, 1, 2. I'm not sure why it's a three-banded plover. It clearly says double black band, but yet they call it the three-banded plover. So maybe because of that white band in between the two black bands. So possibly that's why they call it the three-banded. 2 black and 1 white. Perhaps. I don't know. I always struggle with some of these bird names, where the names come from. And there it is again. It's a beautiful little bird. Often find them around water holes. It's very, very peaceful. I'm trying to listen out for some more birds, and specifically for that woodland kingfisher. And while I do that, I'm also scanning Day Coiler would like to know if there's a crocodile in this water, and I haven't seen one, and I don't know of a time where they have ever seen a crocodile in here. I'm not sure, Chandra, if you know. No crocodiles have been spotted in here. Hippos, yes, but no crocodiles. I think perhaps because this water fluctuates quite a bit, maybe it's not ideal conditions for crocodiles. They prefer staying in rivers and that, maybe more permanent water. Now there are some other interesting birds I'd like to point out. Just off to the left, on the bank, a little bit further left, Chandra, that second pan actually, just through there on that island that you can see, and you should see them bottom right hand screen now. There we go. Very, very well camouflaged, and those are water thickneys, little water thickneys, very, very well camouflaged. They are generally nocturnal, but they've been giving their little whistle. They've got a high-pitched whistle, something like that. And these little thickneys are just perched around the water. Let me see if I can. 116. Let me just show you quickly. Let me just quickly show you what this little bird looks like. You can see them there, but have a look now. We get two species, the water and the spotted thickney, just over here. So that's the water thickney on the left and the spotted thickney on the right. They look very, very similar. Water thickney generally has a lighter coloration underneath and a bit of a black stripe on the wing, but also they are found close to water. And they are mainly nocturnal. You see those big eyes, so they are mainly nocturnal, but you do hear them and see them during the day. Now, easy peasy, you asked, out of the birds in the Kruger, which immigrate the furthest. Now, I think you mean migrate. They don't immigrate because they do return. So they don't leave us for good. But the migratory species, there are a number of them, but ones that migrate the furthest. If I'm not mistaken, these Wahlberg's eagles do fly really far, and they fly, I think, into Eastern Europe a little bit. But I think this little one, let me show you. And you'd be so surprised. Let me just find it first, and then I'll show it to you. It's a little shrike, which is very, very interesting. 224, and it's incredible how far some of these little red-backed shrikes. Now have a look. I've got the picture right here. So this one in the top left-hand corner, the red-backed shrike. Now they migrate, and look at that. And that one's got some speckles on the underbelly, but generally the adults look like this one at the bottom over here. That's a red-backed shrike. Now they depart usually around March, April, and then when they do migrate north, and then they come back mid to late November. Now I'm trying to see. Now I'm just going to get my app, everybody. So because these apps are wonderful, they've got a lot more information in them. So what I want to do is just quickly read up on where they migrate. Let's just quickly. Let me just look very quickly for you. So some of them, how's this? So they breed throughout most of Europe, Western Asia, and north all the way to Scandinavia. So that's incredible how these little redback shrikes migrate all the way up to Scandinavia, and then in the winters, or the European winters, the summers, they come back down to southern Africa. So we do get them around here. That's probably the one that I know of that migrates, or one of them that migrate the furthest, one that I can think of offhand. Anyway, we're going to try and move around a little bit more. Let's see if our signal works. While we do that, let's head back to Jamie and see what she's up to on the vehicle this time.
I do hope that Byron does manage to move and that he doesn't lose his signal. In the meantime, I've been coming to grips with the reality that is not having your right door. But just because I haven't done it in a while, I keep doing this. I'm going to go and lean and just half topple out of the car and I want to go and rest my arm like I always do. And it just sort of dangles pathetically, and then I lean out to look for tracks, and I have a momentary sense of almost vertigo-like feeling, like I'm going to go tumbling out of the vehicle, and it's just because I'm out of practice. The worst part was a little bit earlier when I completely forgot I didn't have a door, and there was a tree in the road, and I squeezed past it, and usually the door, of course, would protect me, but of course I didn't have a door, which meant that the tree was then very much in my lap. I wasn't terribly impressed with that. All in all, though, it does give us a great freedom of motion. It also makes tracking, it makes tracking a great deal easier for me, at least, especially because I'm short one blanket and am just short. I can't see over the bonnet, but I no longer have to veer right off the side of the road. I can just glance over the side. It's quite lovely. Other than that, not much has changed. There was some elephants, as you may have gathered from the fact that there was a tree in the road. Elephants have been feeding in that area, and it looks as though their tracks started to move towards Treehouse Dam. So hopefully we get there in a time to catch them drinking. They didn't look that fresh to me though. But we'll go and have a look at Treehouse Waterhole and see what's come down and decided to drink there. It is, for some reason though, quite an unpopular waterhole in terms of seeing large herds of animals gather there. The buffalo sometimes move through, but we don't often see the elephants drinking there. The wild dogs occasionally stop off, but other than that, we don't really see impala or nyala or anything else coming to drink at this particular waterhole. I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's just not quite full enough for them, so they feel a little bit too exposed when walking down towards that water. But let us nevertheless go and see what's gathered at Treehouse Dam. A very warm welcome to Stephen, who has only recently discovered this site and these live safaris, and Stephen says that he loves it. Well, Stephen, I'm thrilled to hear that, and I'm so glad that you did send through your comment. We always love hearing from new viewers, and we do enjoy welcoming them to their newest addiction. And it does become a little bit of an addiction. I think a lot of our viewers will tell you. Some of the viewers have been watching for many, many, many years. So it becomes a huge part of you become a part of our lives in a big way as well, Stephen. If you do stick around, when you stick around and join us for more safaris, we'll get to know your name, we start to learn your favorite animals. It's a wonderful way of connecting. And speaking of connecting, since my elephants haven't arrived at Treehouse Dam, from what I can see, seems as though Byron has managed to connect with some.
I have indeed my favorites. I've managed to find some elephant, and isn't this wonderful? Look how they caked in mud. They've obviously been bathing somewhere, splashing mud on themselves during the course of the day to cool down. This is a young elephant. Oh, come say hello. Looks like a young male. That's wonderful. I love seeing elephant. There are a few around, but I think they've gone down in towards the drainage line just off to our right. There's one or two youngsters around here still, but if you listen carefully, you can probably hear them feeding. Why don't we chance our signal a little bit? Well, let's just wait. I don't want to move just yet in case we lose signal. Our signal's been terrible this afternoon. I do apologize. As long as you are getting to see these elephants, that's the most important thing. Oh, see how it's waving its ears, trying to cool itself down. And they fan their ears like that because of the network of veins that run through the back of the ears. You might be able to see if it opens its ears again. Now you can see some of the veins through there. Now look at that, you can see that clearly. So what happens is there's a lot of blood which moves through those ears, and those ears are very, very thin. And what happens while they are flapping their ears, that cools the blood down slightly, not by much, but a little bit. And it takes about 7 to 8 minutes for the blood to circulate through the body from the ears. And that then helps regulate the temperature. It does cool them down a little bit. As I said again, it's not by a lot, but it will help cool them down and cool the blood down a little bit. Isn't that interesting? Some point. Let me try and move forward for us, everybody. Let's see. No signal issues. I'm sure Rebecca's holding. Come on. I'll just creep very, very slowly. Where are the rest of them now? They're moving off. This one's kind of hiding in the trees now. There's another one off to our right. Hang on a second, we might get a nice view from here, Jean-Andre. Oh, you see that one now. So there's one on either side of us now, but this one's still, I think, oh, sorry, Jean-Andre. Yeah, definitely a young male. We could go through that dung now and see how inefficient their digestive system is. We've spoken about it many times before. They don't absorb a lot of food from the or a lot of nutrients rather from the food that they feed on, and that dung will be very, very coarse and full of broken branches and leaves and sticks. Bree, all the way from Denver. Good afternoon, almost evening, early evening. Bree, you wanted to know what is my favorite characteristic of the elephant. Bree, I wonder. I think, I do believe that elephants are one of the most intelligent animals out here, and I think we were speaking about it earlier. Jean-Andre and I were speaking about. We had a question about the mourning and if animals do mourn other, species or their same species if someone dies because of what's going on with the lions. And we were speaking about the elephant, and I think they do mourn to an extent. I don't think it's mourning that we recognize mourning to be, but they do definitely recognize the death of an animal in their herd. And often, if they go past old elephant carcasses, they will stop to smell. Who knows exactly? I know there are a lot of theories in that. I don't know if I believe all of them, but they definitely do recognize that, and they do recognize areas, incredible memories. But I think that is it for me, is the ability for them to recognize places and smells and each other and people and vehicles. I do think with that intelligence, it's definitely the characteristic that I love the most, is just them being so intelligent. And also, I suppose, just with them being so gentle, but also so powerful, being able to push over massive trees and yet pick up a tiny little leaf with the tip of their trunk. It's incredible to see that contrast. Can you hear that? Oh, there's branches breaking, low frequency vocalizations communicating with each other. They've stopped now. Oh, I'm going to sit here a little bit longer with this elephant, but before or while I do that, Jamie's got a bird she wants to show you quickly.
We just had to pull you across from Byron and those elephants just to show you. There we go, he's going to start to call. The bird that Herbie was imitating a little bit earlier on. The black-bellied bustard. Come on, call for us, give your proper call. An amazing whistle accompanied by a champagne cork pop at the end. I love the way they walk. If you watch them, it looks as though their head is pulling them forward. Like there's some kind of some kind of force that allows them to pull themselves along by their heads. And so the head stretches forward and then is backwards again. Fascinating to watch the way that they move. Come on, Bustard. Give us a call. And Paul, you say you literally could not tell the difference between the two. You're not the only one. When Herbie was busy calling, I actually thought it was just a black-bellied bustard. I didn't realize that Herbie was in the process of having a conversation with one of them. They are indistinguishable. It is incredible. The only part is maybe that champagne pop at the end, but even then, it was a faultless performance from Herbie. Absolutely faultless. I was amazed. I think our black-bellied bustard unfortunately has disappeared. Yeah. Oh well, I'm glad we got to see one and to put one on camera properly, because of course it's a little bit tricky on bushwalk, as that one was moving away slowly but surely. No, it's vanished, unfortunately. It has disappeared. That's okay. We'll continue along on this beautiful, beautiful evening. Really stunning summer's evening. And go and see what else we can find. I'm planning a quick trip to my Crested Barbet nest on Twin Dams, just to see if anybody's home and whether or not perhaps they've laid eggs. We won't be able to see right the way in, but it'll be nice to stop up and check on them, see how they're doing. Found this nest a couple of weeks ago with the barbet cleaning it out, pulling out chips of wood. And if my it depends on when he laid eggs. Not he laid eggs. He didn't do any egg laying when his mate laid her eggs. Depends on when she laid her eggs, but it was before I went on leave, and quite a while before I went on leave. So it must have been about a month ago, which means that we could well start to see little chicks poking their heads out if they're feeling brave. They would have hatched around about now. Let us go and investigate. I'm also keeping an eye out for the Queen of Djuma, just to see whether or not she's crossed back from our southern boundary and returned to us once again, because I'm not 100% sure whether or not she crossed with her cubs. Uh-oh. Roadblock. I'm going to take this person's route around the tree. After my last attempt at squeezing through the trees, I'm not going to repeat it. That's not elephants. That's a tree that's been dead for a long time, probably rotted and blew over in a storm. That tree was not pushed over by any kind of elephant. There's no way any elephant would bother with something without leaves. Anything in the big balanites? Nope. One day I'll see a leopard in that tree. Okay, here's our barbet nest. Oh no! Oh dear! Oh no, that's okay. The hole is there. Oh, it's very dark. Try and add a little bit of... I can't add any light because the spotlight is currently under 10 kilograms of cables and trapped underneath all of Brent's stuff. Here we go. So that's the hole. That's the Crested Barbet was excavating. I can hear it. The Barbet's calling. And that could well be him. Where is he? I can also hear a red-chested cuckoo. And the Crested Barbet trilling happily away. No sign of little chicks poking their heads up. But the Crested Barbet is here somewhere. And I can almost guarantee it's the pair that were responsible for this nest. Let's see if we can find him quickly. I hear him. Ah! Sorry, there goes there it went. Well done, VM. There was a slender mongoose that went dashing off, but there's our Crested Barbet. Let's give us a trill. You were making such a lovely sound earlier. Aren't they beautiful? With their red and their yellow and all those bright colours. And of course, in case you were wondering why it was called a Crested Barbet, well, now you know. That ridiculous... Sorry, it is a little bit... Oh, sorry, that was my fault. Foot off the brake. With that ridiculous crest of feathers. Having a thorough preening session. I actually think it might even have gone down and had a bath. Or a quick rinse in the nearby pan. Puffed right up. Spreading that preen oil, and at the same time picking off ticks, particularly pepper ticks for birds, the larval form or the larval stage of the various tick species that we get. It's a really nice opportunity to just sit and listen to the sounds of the bush. Lovely. I just saw the second Crested Barbet fly past me, but I don't know where it's gone. No, I thought it was going towards the nest. Oh, and we've lost our original Crested Barbet. Alright. I suppose that's the signal to move on. Find out what these waterbuck are all staring at. We need a better collective noun for waterbuck than just a herd.
Circle of waterbuck.
A circle of waterbuck. A circle of waterbuck is a much better collective noun for a group of waterbuck. A stink of waterbuck, or is that just rude? It works. They are pretty smelly.
Or a fluff.
A fluff of waterbuck. I like that too. A fluff of waterbuck. I don't know if any of you have any suggestions as to a slightly more appropriate, a slightly more fun collective noun. I don't see why giraffe should get journey and zebra should get dazzle and a herd of waterbuck is just a herd. It's a little boring, don't you think? In fact, I think we should come up with collective nouns for all of the ones that we don't have. Oh, what? Sorry? Rebecca says that Jerry says it's a something of Waterbuck. Sorry. Jerry says it's a sip of Waterbuck, as in, please can I have a sip of your Waterbuck? Jerry. A sip of Waterbuck. I don't know, I think a fluff... What is wrong, little Waterbuck? What's got them so panicked? Not panicked, one's a bit panicky. And the others are all staring off in one direction. I wonder if a pack of wild dogs haven't just come through and we haven't seen them. Let's just go forward a little bit. There is something that they're keen on seeing, watching. That one little Waterbuck behavior suggests there was a predator at some point. They've all stopped and frozen. It could just be that they've seen another Waterbuck, to be honest. Occasionally antelope do that. They're not always the brightest, not brightest, but they're not always the sharpest. They don't always have the sharpest vision. But they are very alert. Okay. Everybody seems to be relaxing, so perhaps just a false alarm. I think a fluff wins for me. I quite like a fluff of Waterbuck. I'm not sure if they do actually have an official collective noun. If they do, I don't know what it is. I'll be quite disappointed if there is actually an official one and it isn't as good as ours. A curious one is on the same page as VM. Curious one says a ring of Waterbuck. Well done, Curious one. Agreed. That works pretty well as well, considering their dominant patterning. A splash of Waterbuck. Jackie J, you say a splash of Waterbuck. It's hard to choose. I think I might have opened a can of worms here. How on earth are we going to decide which is the best name for a group of Waterbuck? Why are you staring in the opposite direction now? What am I missing? Nothing. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. See, this is where a door would hinder me, but I don't have to worry now without the door. Just think, the opportunities are... Look at this, I can turn like this and be thoroughly comfortable. The opportunities are positively boundless in terms of the different collective nouns that we could come up with. Not just for Waterbuck, we need some for Kudu as well, since it is just a herd of Kudu, and perhaps some for Nyala.
And slender mongoose.
And slender mongoose. I haven't really ever found the opportunity to use a collective noun for a slender mongoose.
Oh, they need one.
They do, you're right, I can't argue. That would be very specious of me if I were only to give collective nouns to the various bovids and ruminants of this area. What about a catwalk of Kudu? Because they do look a little bit like the sort of the supermodels of the antelope world. Yes, no, maybe not. What could a slender mongoose be? Because, I mean, it is a business of mongoose, but somehow that doesn't quite fit with a group of slender mongoose. A surprise of slender mongoose would be perhaps an appropriate one, since they are solitary. So a collective noun might be a surprise. Look at that beautiful sky. Vividly pink this evening. Since it is such a gorgeous evening, I think it deserves a second perspective. Let's go and have a look at the view that Byron has to offer.
Look at this beautiful silhouette that we've got at the moment. There's a vulture sitting up on, two vultures sitting on this dead tree, but just watch what happens when we zoom out a little bit. Look at that wonderful sunset. That color in the sky is fantastic. And these two vultures silhouetted against that light, this beautiful pinky, orange, purple, wonderful colors. That is really, really beautiful. Wow. Now, I mean, usually if I had guests on safari, I'd say to them, okay, we'll stop for a short little break, stretch your legs and perhaps get some refreshments. So wherever you are watching around the world, if you are having a refreshment, I hope you're enjoying this sunset with us, the sundowners as we usually call them. And I know I have a few favorite sundowners, especially when out in the bush, and it's nice to sit here, just listen what's going on around you, enjoying the bird sounds, and then watching the sun go down. Very, very peaceful. I think it's good for the soul. I would always say that, but I do believe that it is good for the soul, and people do need to try and appreciate nature a lot, as much as possible, and get out more and try and get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. I know it's not always easy with jobs and so on, but when you can, try and just appreciate what is out there. I know even for us, even though we're out here, I do try and remind guests, and that especially when they're with us, just how fortunate and privileged we are to be able to view this. And even friends of mine that work in the bush, you know, on a daily basis, it is so nice to be able to do this and bring a bit of Africa to your homes around the world. So I hope you enjoy it as much as we do, because it's a special place, and it's a special feeling. Darian, a new viewer, welcome Darian, great to have you with us, and good morning, or from us, a good evening. It's almost evening, and you wanted to know where exactly are we. So we are situated right up in the northeastern part of South Africa. Now we're in an area known as the Greater Kruger National Park, and we are situated in a smaller area known as the Sabi Sands, and we are on Djuma Game Reserve. Now, as I said, that's basically, I've just gone from the Greater Kruger and brought it in a little bit to the Sabi Sands and then to Djuma in that area. There are no fences between us and the Kruger National Park, which is the largest national park in South Africa. It's all open, so the animals can move freely. We do still have our boundaries, which we as guides and vehicles in different lodges stick to, but the animals can move around freely, which is wonderful. Now this area is about 3.2 million hectares, almost 7 million acres of land, open land, free roaming for these animals, which is incredible. Now you wanted to know how many guides we have. So on Safari Live we've got 5 guides, I believe. Is it the 5 guides? Six including Steph. Yeah, so it is Brent and Jamie, and then James and Taylor and Stefan and Steph. So James, Taylor and Steph are away at the moment. Steph will be back tomorrow, and then I fill in for those guides when they need a rest and they need some time off, and I occasionally come in and help out for a week or 2 or sometimes 3 weeks, which is nice. Wonderful to get into the bush. But I do a lot of guiding all over Africa, which is great. So I get to see a lot of different places. Sharp talons on that vulture, incredible. Very ominous looking. The vultures sitting crouched with their heads low down in the tree. Haley, you want to know how long can a vulture live for? Haley, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not even going to try and hazard a guess. Let me see if I can find anything that's a little bit more accurate on my bird app. Because I think it's around 10 to 15 years perhaps, but I'm not sure. While I try and find out, Jamie's watching that beautiful sunset from another angle. Let's head to her and see what the view is like.
A beautiful sunset accompanied by some really stunning sound effects. Oh, and now you do it, you two. They stopped earlier, so we were going to look at the sunset until they started again, but we've got male impala sparring as well. That was a funny face. So of course, our impala are a little bit confused at the moment, or at least the boys are. They are going into what's known as a false rut because all of the pregnancy hormones that are floating about have confused them, and they think that the females are coming into estrus. They could not, of course, be further from the truth, but it's led to dramatic... baboons calling as well. It's led to some dramatic fight scenes. This is not as serious as it would be during the normal rut. I can hear baboons as well, which has distracted me. And so can they, which has distracted them. So it's not as serious as an impala fight can get, but these are two fully grown rams, and they are... oh, well, I suppose it helps in a way. You don't get rusty when the time comes to really fight. And that yawning face that he's making is a sort of a precursor to the sound that they make, that roaring, grunting sound. Another clash of horns. You can actually hear the sounds of the horns hitting together. Some skipping and jumping. And that, I think, is that. I'll try reposition one more time, just to see whether they're going to continue with their sparring. And while we do, listening to the constant sound of the cuckoo, and I've decided that can be our collective noun for cuckoos. When they're here, it is a constant of cuckoos. Constant. That red-chested cuckoo has not stopped. Oh. Break for dinner, everybody. Stopping to have a snack and a groom. Now, if this were a really serious rutting period, they would not have stopped. They would have continued until a victor was found. Oh, posturing again. Two boys sizing each other up. One of them, the one on the left, is actually not all that interested. He'd actually really rather have some dinner before it gets too dark. And the other one agrees. Okay. Our impala are done for now. We're going to move on and see what else we can find. Oh, that sunset just keeps getting... Sorry, look at the colours. That is absolutely spectacular. It's nice every now and again to remind oneself to stop and take in the sunset. We sometimes find ourselves rushing around with lions, with leopards, with all sorts of things, and it's nice every now and again just to stop and have a moment to reflect on exactly where we are and how beautiful it is. Don't you agree, Impala? No, probably not. I suppose if we give a waterbuck a collective noun, we probably need a collective noun for Impala as well. But I'm drawing a blank there, I'm afraid. An intimation, no. No, that's me. I was about to say an irritation of Impala, but they're not irritating at all. And Starry Night, you say, should be a flicker of an Impala. I love that, a flicker of Impala. That is a lovely idea. I like that. A flicker of Impala. Given the glorious nature of the sunset, Byron cannot tear himself away. Let's go and have another look.
I can't, everybody. We're trying to do a bit of a time lapse here at the moment with Jeandre. There's a vehicle coming behind us. I'm just going to move, Jeandre. Is that alright? It's death to time lapse, unfortunately. Sorry. And just move out the way and let this other vehicle drive past. See what they've got. Who knows or what they've seen. Let's be friendly and wave. And we can still watch the beautiful sunrise. Hi everybody, good evening. Hello, how are you?
Alright, fine man.
Good, thank you,
Yeah.
good.
We're in the sunset.
Yes, we're live and people from all over the world are enjoying our sunset with us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Alright, enjoy.
Yeah.
Lovely seeing you. Bye everyone. Thank you. Pardon?
Can you put us on the TV?
On the TV, sure. Bye everyone. It's always wonderful to see guests out on safari, enjoying the safari and enjoying the sunset too. It's lovely, and you see everybody just really having a wonderful time. It's great. I suppose it's almost spotlight time. Oh, see what we can find. Alright. Oh, that was beautiful. It's amazing how quickly the color just changed. And it was that beautiful pink and purple, and I'm glad Jamie also got to see and witness the sunset. Alright, let's start putting some lights on here. Again, you know, this is that, I always call it that awkward time of the evening, because it's not quite spotlight dark yet, or dark enough for the spotlight rather, and it's not quite light enough that we can use our eyes very well, but who knows. Let's see. Wow, so one of our viewers has given us an interesting answer to the vulture question on how long they can live. And apparently in South America, they've got something called a king vulture, and that vulture can live up to 30 years, which is very, very interesting. Now, I wonder what the length of or the lifespan of some of these African vultures. I had a look. It's got nothing on the app that I've got, so I don't know. We'd have to have a look. And I wonder if those aren't vultures in captivity or if they are wild vultures. Now the interesting thing is, vultures are actually, there are two categories of vultures. Old school, not old school, sorry, old world vultures and new world vultures. And what we have in Africa is old world vultures, which means they rely on their eyesight to find food. But the new world vultures, which are found in South America, actually rely on scent to find carcasses and to feed on different animals. Because I wonder if that vehicle has got anything there. No. I just saw a vehicle stop, just wanted to make sure and see if they had anything. Let's see what else we got around here in the trees. So, and it makes sense for the South American vultures to have evolved that way, because they're flying through thick canopies and thick trees and forests, so they can't necessarily rely on their eyesight to find carcasses or soaring around, so they rely on their sense of smell. Alright, Jeandre, one chameleon coming up. I hope. It's a lovely temperature now. It's cooled down quite a bit, which is great. Wonder what happens if we spot a woodland kingfisher at night. Does it count? Bree, you say the other guides that that are here at the moment enjoy the sunrise safaris. I don't know. It's always difficult, and people often ask me that question. I don't know. I do enjoy the mornings, the cooler mornings, and driving around. But yeah, it's a difficult question. I don't know. I do enjoy the mornings, but the afternoons are nice. I think generally the afternoons are a little bit more laid back, if I can say that. It's not always a guarantee that you're going to see too much activity with animals, especially in the summer when it is much warmer. Animals do tend to rest a bit more, but yeah, and the mornings are nice. It's nice and cool, and it's nice to enjoy the morning safari in the cool weather, and usually you get more activity from the animals. So I don't know, but I enjoy both. You know, I suppose you get to have sundowners in the afternoon. So one benefit of an afternoon or sunset safari. Christine, and you say you've never seen a sunset that compares to, or any sunset around the world that compares. Oh, yeah, I think I'm seeing things, but hang on. You say, sorry, Christine, you were saying that you haven't seen a sunset that compares to the South African sunsets. You know, I think I am seeing things, everyone, and now it's very difficult to try and spot with the spotlight and my binoculars. I thought I saw something that almost resembled a chameleon, but no, it's just a leaf. It's just a leaf. Sure, it looked almost like a little tail, and it is difficult at times to spot, especially with these lush green leaves at the moment. Anyway, it was just something that we've got to keep looking out for. So Christine, I think I agree. You know, Christine, those beautiful sunsets that we have here, and you say you haven't seen one anywhere else in the world as beautiful as the South African sunset. I think in Southern Africa in general we've got amazing sunsets. Even in Botswana, over the Okavango Delta, you get amazing sunsets. But definitely, you know, we are very, very fortunate and blessed to have these amazing sunsets. Alright, let's head over to Jamie. I'm sure she's got the spotlight out, and let's see if she can find something.
Well, Byron is not alone in his search for chameleons. I have not seen one chameleon this year, and I'm starting to feel slightly bereft. We didn't actually see that many of them last year either, so it would be a really nice way to end off a lovely sunset safari. And actually, the sunset, I think, was the highlight of the sunset safari this evening. Now, hopefully we can add a chameleon to that list of highlights. I'm scouring the bushes. Easy peasy. It's something that we should always get into the habit of doing, I think, is to try and describe the way that the air smells. And yes, there is a very different scent to the evening than there is during the day, particularly in summer, because a lot of the plants, the scents of the various flowers come through even more vividly than they might during the day. And yes, the bush is filled with the smell of plants. You only really smell something called a potato bush at night. A potato bush. You'll only get the flowers opening at night, and they release that incredible scent that smells exactly like cooking potatoes. So every now and again we'll go through this patch patch where you can just smell cooking potatoes, and you start looking around thinking that perhaps you might be closer to camp than you realize, but it is just in fact a plant. Winter doesn't smell as different at night, but it does still smell a little bit different. There's a very cool edge to the air. I think my favorite smell, though, of all time in terms of the smells of the bush in summer is those evenings when the thunderstorms start to close in. And just before they hit, even before they hit, sorry Impala, just going to dim my lights for them. Even before they hit, you start getting the incredible smell of petrichor in the air. And then at the same time, you've got this build-up of humidity, this electric feeling in the air, and that is one of my favorite things about the bush. Personally, my favorite time of day of any season, whether it's winter or summer, is first thing in the morning. That's my favorite time, just as the sun is coming up. But an African summer evening has a very close second, or comes a very close second. I don't know if that spectacular sunset perhaps is bringing some rain with it. The clouds have been coming and going all day today. It would be very nice if perhaps it decided to bring some rain along with it. Chameleon? No. Chameleon? No. Chameleon? No. I am hopeful though. It would be really very pleasant to finish off with any nocturnal creature, actually. Any nice surprise, perhaps a genet, porcupine, dare I hope. I kept saying porcupine the last time I drove around during these evenings. Is that infrared meant to be on?
Oh, it's working.
It is. It's working just fine. There we go. Well, that's good news. VM was quite surprised that it was working, but it is definitely. Aha! Now, Aqua, you've asked a very serious question, a very, very serious answer. Aqua would like to know what is the collective noun for safari guides at Safari Live. Well, Aqua, I think that might depend upon who you ask and what kind of a day you ask it on. What would be a good, I'm trying to think of a good collective noun for our combination, but I'm struggling to come up with one that is all-encompassing. An idiosyncrasy of Safari Live guides, perhaps, is one. An eccentricity of Safari Live guides. How's that? An eccentricity of Safari Live guides. Perhaps our lovely directors would like to contribute their thoughts. Perhaps they wouldn't. Perhaps we don't want to know. Okay, Fran, I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie, the thought crossed my mind. Fran has said an asylum of safari guides. Okay, fair enough. That was actually my first thought, but I ducked around it. But Fran was on the same page. An asylum of safari live guides. I'm glad to know we keep you thoroughly entertained and that you've got a jolly good impression of our sanity. Let's go over to Byron so that perhaps he can comment on what he thinks the collective noun for Safari Live guides should be.
A collective noun of Safari Live guides. Sure, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to give it some thought. Sorry, I'm just having a look. We saw a bush baby, everyone, that I wanted to show you, but it jumped away very quickly. But it is in, I think it's in a tree somewhere. Just trying to have a look. They're very, very agile, and they don't sit around for very long. Oh, it's such a pity. Beautiful little bush baby that was in that tree. It seems to have moved off, hiding away from us. Let's see if we can find another one. Let's have a look. I still haven't seen any sign of a chameleon at all.
What about a cacophony of guides, a cacophony of Safari Live guides? Because we tend to speak quite a bit, don't we? Maybe that's it. I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now. I think an asylum's are probably quite a good one. An asylum of guides. Jen and a few others all say a circus of guides. Oh, perhaps. I wonder who'd be the biggest clown. And you're more than welcome to answer if you'd like. Tammy, you wanted to know if our bush babies that we see out here are anything close or related to the raccoons that you get back home. No, not at all. These are nocturnal little primates, so they're completely different to raccoons. Not related to a raccoon at all. They're tiny little primates that jump around at night from tree to tree, and they are strictly nocturnal. They don't move around during the day. But very, very shy, incredibly fast. Once they start getting their metabolism going and warming up in the evening, they start jumping around and they move incredibly quickly, and they can jump amazing distances for their body size, which is awesome to see. But again, when you do need to look very, very hard to see them. Nicole, you want to know what is a bush baby called? Oh, there's a little scrub head just off to the side. Let's have a look here quickly. Little one, little one. Now, bush baby. Oh, baby. Let me try find it for you quickly, Nicole. Let me try to see. I'm actually not sure. I know these little ones, the scrub hares, the little scrub hares are called leverets. That's the name of these tiny scrub hares. So I'm trying to look and shine at the same time. It's just moving off. Alright, I don't want to shine on it for too much longer. Sorry. I'm just let me have a look here quickly and see if I can find these little bush babies and see if there's anything on here. Let's just read quickly. They just refer to them as young. They don't have a specific name for them. And have a look. Look at that beautiful face of that bush baby. Those big eyes, big ears, perfect for nocturnal animals. But isn't that cute? Wow. So they just refer to it as young. And Nicole, I haven't heard of another term. We do have a thick-tailed bush baby, that one over there, which we see occasionally, or the greater bush baby. And we do not, we do get them around here, but we do not see them very often. They are much larger. Now, if I can try and show you quickly, let me just put that down. Now, the greater bush baby is probably about this big. It's quite big, everyone. If you think of that size for a bush baby, about that. And these little ones, the lesser bush baby, is probably about that big. About that big. Very small. Very small little creatures. So Nicole, I'm not sure of a name for a baby bush baby. Oh, baby. Maybe I should start singing some Britney Spears. How would that go down? But I'm not sure, so if anybody else knows or has found an answer, please let us know. It's interesting, but I'm not sure what it's called. Still searching the trees very, very carefully for any sign of chameleons or scorpions, or maybe even a genet or a civet. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we've been able to find a chameleon this evening, everyone. But for a wonderful afternoon. I hope you have all enjoyed it as much as I have, certainly. And thank you to Jandre on camera with me. Thanks, Jandre. And we tomorrow morning again, Safari. Let's head back to Jamie and she can say goodbye. Good night and goodbye, everyone.
And I couldn't agree more with Byron that it has indeed been a wonderful afternoon. And whilst Byron hasn't managed to find a chameleon, we've still got 3 minutes to go, so you never know, we might just get lucky. And while we've been trundling along, I've been thinking, well, since you were wondering about a collective noun for safari guides, or at least Safari Live safari guides, perhaps I should try and think of a collective noun for all of our viewers. And I have to be honest, it's a difficult one. That's a very difficult one. A value of viewers. I know it doesn't have to be alliterative, but I think a value kind of describes exactly, not in monetary terms, just in terms of what it is you all bring to our safaris as well. I'll have to think about it and come up with an answer for tomorrow. My brain's relatively fried, and I completely sympathize with Byron's inability to say bush baby baby. Bush baby baby, bush baby baby, bush baby baby, bush baby baby. Ha! Sorry, Daisy's Place. Daisy's Place has gone for the slightly less of a reference to our eccentricities, and has said that it should be called a book of guides. I like that, like a guidebook, but a book of guides. That's really nice, Daisy's Place. Thank you. Oh, hello, Impala. Sorry. That's also really lovely from Elena. You say, since we're all so in love with the wildlife, could it not be a smitten of guides? Well, I think that's a really very good way of describing exactly how we all feel about the life that we lead out here. We may view things differently, we may have different favorites and different specialities, but it's safe to say, it's a very safe bet to say that we are all 100% smitten with the life we lead. Of course, one last thing we need to do is come up with a collective noun for the cameraman. A talent of cameraman, perhaps, or a dedication of cameraman. I'll have to give some more thought to this particular subject because I'm rapidly running out of time and my brain isn't quite working fast enough for the demands. And so we reach the end of what has been a truly lovely sunset safari, and thank you all for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the back of the vehicle with us. For now, it's time to do our final goodbyes and our thank yous. So a big thank you to VM, as always, for his wonderful camera work, and to Eggsy in absentia, since he has since walked home with Herbie. I was met by VM on the road, as well as to Rebecca and Jerry in final control for keeping us thoroughly entertained and in control, and a big thank you to all of you watching us around the world. I hope that you had as much fun as we did, and I hope that we will see you on the sunrise safari tomorrow.